Hello and welcome back, fellow space engineers. As we have another glorious morning, I have been working my little miner very hard, getting all sorts of iron and cobalt to build the next steps in our base expansion. Now, in a couple episodes, I will definitely rebuild this thing, as this is simply a basic one. It is meant to just get the first initial burst of resources. Then we can spend a whole bunch more stuff on a much better rover. But that'll be for the future. What we're going to do today is we are going to move from our basic processing. We have a basic assembler, basic refinery, and a small cargo container. And we're going to start to expand these because we need more. Everything about Space Engineers is about starting with a small thing, namely the survival kit, moving to a larger thing, using that to move to a larger thing, to move to a larger thing, to eventually build a giant space station and take over the world. So, the next step out of this is to go into our build menu here, pushing down on the left stick, and we are going to go over to gas and logistics. There is the large cargo container. And if we cycle through the blocks here and just clear out my build planner, there is the small one, which is the one we built now, and we salvaged those 4 metal grids from our thrusters in order to build it in the initial. However, now we are capable of making metal grids for ourselves, so we can make as many as we need. And if we take a look at large cargo containers, they are going to need 24 of them, which is a fair amount compared to what you start with. So let's take a look at the large cargo container. And it is big. It is a 3x3x3, so a total of 20. Wait, what is that? I can't do math in my head, so let's just continue on. It's a lot of blocks. It's a big thing, but it holds a lot of resources. So this is going to be a great thing to have. And I am more than likely going to install it probably down here underneath the base because it's big. I don't want it in the way. And I'm going to do something fun, is that I'm going to pipe it in underneath into my refinery that I'm going to build as well. So what do I need to start this? We take a look at the bottom right here, and it says that it needs 300 interior plates, which is a lot of interior plates, but it means that I need to have at least 1 in my inventory to get things started. So we'll fly back over, we'll pull up our stuff here, and we'll go to our interior plate, and let's just transfer over 10 of them. We'll also transfer over 10 steel and 10 construction components, because those are typically the 3 that pretty much everything starts from. There's a couple things that start from girders, but pretty much everything starts from these 3 components. So I am going to jump on back down here. Ow, break my shins. We're going to open up our menu again, and up at the top, large cargo container, because we had just used it. So we'll open that back out, and then we will point up at the station, and somewhere along the station, I'm thinking, where would be a good spot? Let's just put it at the corner here for now, and we'll place the large cargo container. And I did this intentionally because the cargo container is now partially within the ground. This is okay. The game doesn't matter if it's within the voxel. There's only like a couple things that care if they're in the voxel, and that's like sensors and like those finicky things. The rest of the game just doesn't care. So, large cargo container, I'm going to hold left trigger to put it onto my build planner. Then we'll fly up on over here and hold down right button and press inventory. I cannot withdraw a motor and a display. Interesting. So I just need those 2. The rest of it I have pre-built because I am a genius. So I need a motor and a display. Pop open my inventory here. go over to my production, go to a motor and a display. Wonderful. And now I should be able to hold down the right button and press inventory, and all components successfully withdrawn. Excellent. Ow, I'm breaking my shins. Every single time I jump down from there, I will pop my shins off, but that is okay. So, after we get this all built up, we are wanting to pipe it up to the rest of our base, as then it can share inventory, which will be great. We're actually not going to dismantle any of the stuff we have built already. Why would we dismantle it? We can just keep having that capacity. We're just going to continue to add to it. So there's multiple different ways I can pipe this all up. Now what I'm thinking is, because I've got this big assembly here, I'll probably remove this in between this episode and the next. But I can easily access this through the top here. As you can see that there is a cargo port here as well. So I'm going to take this armor piece out, and I'm going to get to gas and logistics and go to a conveyor junction and slap a conveyor, either a junction or a tube in there, depending on how I wanted to do it. Realistically, doesn't really matter. The only thing that you would have to be concerned about is that the tube does not have any physical connection to the surrounding blocks related to it. So this tube, positioning in this way, will not connect to these sides. So if you build your base entirely with tubes, and you have one item get disconnected, your entire sort of tube infrastructure might just sort of fall where it is. Where if you plop down a junction where it passes through armor, not only is that going to make it airtight, which is useful for when you're building ships in space, but it just solidifies it by actually tying into the armor. So we'll use a junction because we can. We'll grab what components we need to build that up quite easily by using my left trigger to grab it onto my build planner, then using right button in inventory, and it can't withdraw motors. Oh my god, I need more motors. Okay, you, build me a couple hundred motors. I should have plenty of materials to do this. Yes, build me all of the things. Because we're going to need a lot of motors for the next thing, which is a full-sized refinery. Now, a full-sized refinery has several ports to it. We're actually going to get this little rover here out of the way. Unpark it, move it back, and park it up again. Excellent. So, we'll go back over to production and medical. I should be the right place for it. Yes, up top. We have refinery, and we'll grab that. Now, refinery, yeah, big boy, is a nice big block. And it's got connection on the bottom, connection on the side, connection on the side, and actually connection on the top, although it's a little hard unless I fly up and look down at it. There's a connection right there at the top. So, this is a pretty good one for putting very centrally. If you're going to build like a resource ship, you can use this as sort of a pass-through for a lot of your stuff. Place down the refinery, build the ship around the refinery sort of feeling. So because it's got one on the bottom, I'm going to place it down so that that one on the bottom there, which is in the back left corner, in the way I'm looking at it, is going to be aligned to the back left corner where that conveyor port is. Boom. And now that conveyor port on the bottom is aligned, and it should be able to access the storage container nicely and smoothly. So then we'll grab the materials we need by putting it on the build planner, running over here, and hoping that I have enough stuff. Cannot withdraw. Alright, we are full on our inventory. As you can see, our backpack meter around our tools is completely red. So we'll just deposit the materials and come back and see if it was just because we didn't have the backpack space. Only thing we're actually missing is 6 large steel tubes, which is very easy to remedy. That should be 6. Yes. Haha. Perfect. And I'll just weld this up. Now, by building the refinery, I have unlocked new blocks. Now, the great part about the refinery is that it can process everything, while the basic refinery can only do the basic materials. Stone, nickel, cobalt, iron, and I believe that's it. Silicon. It can do silicon, I believe. If you want to process anything higher tier, platinum, uranium, gold, silver, you need a full-on refinery. So now that we have got this, the refinery is piped to the cargo container down there. We need to run some sort of tubing over to my old setup. I can do that in multiple ways. I could choose to come down here and I could run it underneath. As you can see, there is actually a spot right here where I could connect to this cargo container from the underneath. And I could run tube from there down and across over to there, which I think I will do right now. I'll simply grab a little bit more interior plates, just another 10 or so, and we can get that done. Now, when you're doing this kind of thing, you're taking away portions of your base. Be very careful that everything is connected. I don't want to completely slice away this portion of the base like willy-nilly, because if I cut away a piece and that's the last structural component holding that thing on, yeah, things might explode. So watch out for that. So I think I can do this, and that's all I'll probably need. The assembler, or the cargo container here, is being held up because it is connected as well to the other components that are beside it. So then all I need to do is grab the conveyor junction. We'll throw down a junction there, fall into a hole, capture myself there, and we can do a little bit of work here inside the voxel. Let's grab our tool here and move a little bit of this so I can see what I'm doing. A little bit of terraforming. Alright. Now I can run my piping. So from there, we're going to go with our conveyors. We're going to do a conveyor curved tube, and I will turn it so that it's facing back towards where I want it to go. And then I'll run some tubes along until I am happy with it. All the way along until we get to here. And now we're going to need to do a few corners. So we'll go back to conveyor curved tube. We'll go in. Then we'll go... wrong button there. We'll go down. And then we'll go in. Haha! Perfect! Now these two sides of the base are going to be connected. All I have to do now is go over to it. And on each one, hold down my left trigger, add them all to my build planner, and then go pull those resources out. And the last little bit is connected. And you can see this turned green, therefore they are connected. And what should occur is our refinery here should grab some resources to refine. I guess if there was any at the moment, my basic refinery did the work. But what I could do is go get some resources that I know that the basic refinery cannot process. Namely, some gold if I wanted to. Place it down on my connector here with my miner. And then because we piped everything up together, it would go through the connector, through the H2O2 generator, the survival kit, the cargo container, the conveyor junction, the conveyor tubing, all the way down to the large cargo container, through the conveyor junction, into the refinery. It's a complicated path that the materials would take, but as long as everything is on the same network, it'll all work. which is great. Now, the next thing we're going to want, and I need a little bit more interior plate for this, is a full-on assembler. And I'm going to build this in an interesting spot here because I'm prepping for what I'm going to be putting on these things in a moment. We're going to get some conveyors. We're actually going to conveyor out from here a little bit. And I am going to leave a bit of room around this assembler. Now, you don't have to build it this way, but how do I want to build it? I could just plug it in directly. We'll do it this way. Because this is going to make it look kind of cool. So I'm going to point it up, because that's going to be cool. Maybe one more out, because then it's a little easier to separate the two blocks here. And then we'll do not a sorter, we'll do a junction, so that way we can branch this off if we need to in the future. Excellent. We'll go over to Production Medical and get a full-on assembler. Now the assembler needs a steel plate to start, and as you can see, we rotate this thing around. It's got a port on each end, as well as a port on two of the sides here. So you can set this up in several different ways. However, if we want to have it be the most efficient, we actually need to set it up so that it is on its end, like so. Because we're going to be talking about upgrade slots, which are extremely important if you want to get the most out of your various components. Grab all those materials. We'll pull them all out, except for a few more pieces, which we'll put into production. If you take a look, as I'm building this up, we can talk about it, but if you look here, there are these smaller ports. Now, they are not conveyor junctions. They are not part of the conveyor network. These are upgrade slots where we can put modules, which will increase the effectiveness of our various devices. If we take a look at our refinery in the control panel, if you take a look at the bottom right, it has 3 stats: productivity, effectiveness, and power efficiency. Productivity is how quickly it is producing or just doing its stuff. Effectiveness is how efficient it is at producing it. Pretty much every resource that you process in Space Engineers, if you put 100 kilograms of the base ore, you'll get some quantity less as the resulting product. So if I put in 100 kilograms of iron ore, I'm only going to get out less than that of iron, like refined iron. So increasing effectiveness makes it so that ratio is higher. Very important with things such as like uranium and gold. They have absolutely horrible refinery rates, like just a few percent. So if you put in 100 kilograms of uranium, you only get like a kilo of uranium ingots out. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's similar to that. Very, very low effectiveness. And then power efficiency is power efficiency. You can see the max required output is 560 kilowatts. And if you double the power efficiency, you have your kilowatts used. So you can really push your power usage down. So if you're building a ship that is going to be a low power, long range explorer, you can put on a bunch of power efficiency and still run a refinery with just some basic solar. And you can see upgrade module slots used is now 0 out of 8. And if we look at the back, we can see that there are 8 on the back of this. Now this is the same for the assembler here. It has upgrade slots around all 4 of its long faces. So I'll just get this build up here. But that was the reason why I pointed it straight up. If I had laid it on the side, a couple of these armor blocks would have blocked the refinery, sorry, the refinery, the upgrade slots of the assembler, and it would have not been able to use all 8 of its ones. Okay, with the assembler all built up there, we can see where its upgrade slots are. So 1, 2, there's actually one here. This is another thing. This is a combo. This is both conveyor and upgrade. As you can see, there is the large yellow square for the conveyor, and there is the small yellow square for the upgrade. But there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I am running out of hydrogen. So let's just go and refill my bottle here. And refilled. Excellent. Now, if we go into our build menu here, and we go to production and medical, on the far right side here, you'll see your different modules. So there's speed, which increases the rate of production. Yield, which gives you more effectiveness, more resources for the stuff you put in. And whoop, my stick did not stay straight there. And then power efficiency, which of course reduces the amount of power that you need to run the machine. When you're planning these out, it's just whatever you are going to need them for. Realistically, if you're going to have a large base, it's probably a good idea to have different refineries for different situations. Like, for example, a refinery with 4 yield modules to get maximum yield is wasted on iron. Because even with just like, I believe it's just 2.5 maybe, yield modules, iron reaches 100% yield and you can't get any more out of it. So the last one is worthless. Where uranium and gold and such, it's always worthwhile to add more yield. So maybe if you're just processing a bunch of stone and some iron, you just get some speed and some power efficiency. And then you build a separate refinery that has pure yield, and that's where all your rare minerals go that can slowly process but get the most bang for your buck out of them. And you'll have to figure out which ones you want. But also keep in mind the resources that are required to do these different modules. Speed is the cheapest, just requiring basic resources of motors, computers, steel tubes, construction components, and plates, while a yield module adds superconductors, and that requires gold. And then an efficiency module is, again, fairly cheap, but it requires power cells, and those take a little while to build in your assembler. So I think for now, I'm going to go for power efficiency for both of these, as I don't have the power right now. I could easily expand the power, but I want to just keep this base low power as I'm building up stuff. So I'm just going to pop in here, going to grab a bit more steel plate just so that I can plop these down. I don't have any. Well, that's a problem. Let's make me some steel plate. And this is making the steel plate in not the basic assembler, but the full-on assembler. The one over there. We're already using it to our victory here. So I can actually go directly to it and pull the plate out. Excellent. So we shall position these guys on here and rotate that into position. Power efficiency. And then power efficiency. You always want to make sure, you see how it's got the 2 upgrade slots on the back of it? You want to make sure that it's pointing towards the thing that you're upgrading. And one more power efficiency. And then for the back of here, it doesn't matter if they are vertical or they are horizontal like this. You can even do combos. We can put these 2 as horizontal and then these 2 as vertical to give it a little bit of extra flair. And that's fine. They'll all build up properly. So then all I have to do is just get these built up, and realistically, there are 8 of these, 4 on each one. So I can just look at the same one and just trigger pull for each one. So I already done it once. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. Then walk over here and put it into production. The other great thing, we've talked about how the refinery is able to process all these materials now. We can do gold, we can do uranium, we can do the fun trace elements. The good thing about the new assembler is not only can it make more things, so if we head on over to our cargo container, we access our production, we can see that if we select basic assembler, well, we can start with survival kit. We've only got 10 items that we can build. Basic assembler can make 19, or the assembler can make 26 different things. So big ones is that we can get some medical components that will no, we could do those before. Medical components before, we had radio communication, we had detector components. With the assembler, we have explosives if we want to blow some shit up. We got gravity components, we can build missiles, our superconductors, and thruster components, which will allow you to build ion drives, which are perfect for space travel. Beyond that, with the assembler, the basic one, we could just say the components and some tools. Same thing for survival kit, just components and tools. Not only can we build better tools, as you can see these ones have a chevron, and we can get stronger tools. Like here, we can go all the way up to 3 chevrons, elite grinders, and such. We can also just say, I want to build a specific block, and I want to put that into the queue for this to build. I can just say, hey, I need to build a missile turret. Boom. I added a missile turret to the queue. All of its components that it would need, I can add. And then I can just say, oh yeah, I would need 10 of these. Hold down left button, press A. Easily add 10 missile turrets to the queue to produce. So you can quite easily queue up, like, oh, I'm going to need this for my base. Let me just build that. Now, I probably won't get these things built up in this episode, as it looks like I am a bit shy of my silicon and my nickel, it seems. It looks like I have to go and do some more mining, as I might be running out of resources here. I don't know, I still got some stuff here. It's probably just has to pull all the resources into the other assembler. And if you need help, if your assembler needs help, and you need to transfer stuff over, just head on over to it. If you highlight the spot here, and then you go over to the other side, and then you go to the place that has the resources, highlight it. You just transfer the stuff over. We'll just pile everything into the assembler, and then it should, yeah, we got tons of stuff to build this. So it'll build away this stuff. I can then add these power efficiency modules on, so that way I'm not using as much power. And the only other thing I can think of that would be a nice upgrade for the space is there may be a time when I'm drawing too much power at once, because I'm running both the assembler and the refinery at the same time, like both refineries. I might want to add a battery. So, clicking in the left stick, go over to where would you silly little batteries be? Production medical at the bottom. Battery. And we can slap in a battery, and this can be anywhere. So I could just put it right here beside the base of the windmill. I could put it down here, just under the floor, because who cares? I can put it anywhere I want. I think I am going to slap it right here, so that way I can see the little lights on the battery and tell where it is in its charge capacity. Let me just clear off my build planner here. Yeah, all that stuff is already being built up. And let's see if I have the things I need. It's 64 power cells. Come on.
Energy low.
Oh god, the energy. All components successfully withdrawn. Excellent. So once we got a battery on the base, the battery will store up any excess power that we are building when we're not running our various devices. Our ships are not recharging. And it'll also be a secondary charge station. So this battery, let me use your, there we go. We can see that we are getting input of 1.63 megawatts. We're currently outputting 25 kilowatts because we're actually just not running much right now. Everything probably should have been made produced by now, and we've got no ores refining. So after an hour, this will be completely full, and it will have a peak power output of 3 megawatts. Oh, sorry, max output is 12 megawatts. So at a max time, we can output 12 megawatts, even though, realistically, we're only making 1.63. As long as, you know, over time, we don't use up too much power. But yeah, that is an upgraded sort of logistics. We've got some piping underneath the base, just getting a little power for my suit here. We have got, turn off my HUD and put away my tool. So we made some extra piping underneath the base so that we are able to access our cargo container. We made a much larger cargo container so we can get some massive quantity of resources, bring it back here. We've got a full-on refinery to get higher level materials and a full assembler to get higher level components. And these are going to be outfitted with our power reduction modules so that we can continue to run them all the time under just our wind power without having to expand that too much. Again, you can set up these how you wish. If you have extra power, throw some speed on these. That'll really help in the early game and speed things up. Once you get some high-end resources, put some yield on them so that way you can get the majority out of your resources. But that is going to be it for now. I think in the next episode, now that we have the ability to craft higher level things, we should go into doing some upgrades to this, maybe making a Mark II. We should be thinking about getting a hydrogen craft, and that hydrogen craft will allow us to actually go to space and get some space resources, specifically platinum and that kind of stuff, so that we can start thinking about leaving this planet, leaving these earthly bonds altogether, and heading out into the galaxy. But that is going to be it for now. Thanks for watching, and good hunting out there, fellow space engineers.